constant stream of self-involved, self-indulgent horseshit.
The HollingsWorthless pod. What a fucking dumb name. It's worth, but it's worth less. You fucking stink.
Fucking yuck.
We could play a game.
What's the game?
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
Dude, why are you getting undressed?
I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand. Oh my God, yes you do. Yes you do. You do so. Are you fucking kidding me?
No! You fucking idiot!
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Happy. Keep it happy and light. Keep it light. Everybody makes it to this far in the podcast. It's still not worth it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the HollingsWorthless program.
Wait. You gotta do the clap.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? Everybody,
Hey,
this
is
is...
it-
Co.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the HollingsWorthless program. I'm your host, Kane Holloway, and as always, we have...
Big.
Oh.
Buyer's change. Jesus Christ.
I forgot about
you
the
fuck
hand.
Yeah. Come on. Jesus.
This episode is, we're recording on Monday the 15th, but it'll be out on Wednesday the 17th.
Yes, and we also, dude, we just talked about the meaning of life. Mm-hmm. We had some gossip, some dirt.
Oh, some dirt on
and there was
some
a
comics.
fucking card error.
Yeah, card error.
So
we had a really good show.
Yeah, we were just we were talking about the Notre Dame thing is burning down, and made some really funny jokes about that.
Yeah.
How it's also the name of the University of Notre Dame.
You
guys missed it all.
It was
It's
killer.
brilliant.
I had a story about going to Europe. You'll never, ever
We are
hear it.
up. We're up for it. So
What happened?
tell the story about Kane was in Florida. I'll recap it because you're a little tired, and my 5-hour energy's fucking kicked in.
Oh, boy.
Is your coffee coming?
I'm getting in the car.
God, I want to just smack that back of your head. So Kane went over to Europe with his current fiance's. What's up?
I'm up.
You're up? Good. With his fiance and his mother-in-law, soon to be, who's a German teacher that the whole class went over there to Europe. And
the whole German class.
You had visited Notre Dame, but you were tired.
Super tired.
Because you didn't sleep, and I wanted to tell you about my international travel tired story. But so talk about you almost were robbed, or you and Kelsey.
Yeah. So we're super tired because we can't get any sleep, and then Kelsey and I are fighting because of that. And we're in Europe, and we're walking up to Notre Dame, and I decided to walk a little bit ahead of her because I'm sick of her shit, and she's sick of my shit, so she walks a little slower behind me. So we're both basically doing the another physical way to give someone a middle finger, just by walking fast or slow. And all of a sudden I hear her go, Kane, and I turn around, and there's a guy in my face, and he's holding a clipboard, and he's like, you speak English? And I try to move my head to see where Kelsey is because I can't see her. And every time I do that, he moves his head in front of my head to block my view. So since I'm so tired and mad at everything that's happening, and I don't know what's going on, I just push a guy.
You should have just mushed his face.
Yeah.
Get the fuck
I just pushed his shoulder, and I was like, get out of my way. And I walked over, and I saw that this other dude is in front of Kelsey, and she's trying to move, but he won't let her. And he's trying to take her phone out of her pocket, but he can't because it's got this grippy rubber material,
right,
and it's packed into her tight shorts.
What if he was just like trying to finger blast her?
Oh man, he did that joke. No bullshit. He did that joke the first time I ran through the story. So anyway,
still good.
So
I wonder if Kelsey's mom, like to her German students, ever said, "Oh."
He did this too. Everybody watching and listening. That's our Jews.
Whoa, dude. Go on.
So anyway, these two Jews,
walk into a church.
So anyway, so I see that the dude's trying to jack Kelsey, and then steal her stuff. And
while she's orgasming.
Yeah. No, not yet. Yeah. So then I shove him off of her, and I'm like stand at the ready. And I'm so fucking mad. It's the first time I ever intimidated these. And they weren't that big, because if they were, they probably could have taken me. But
probably, yeah. Go on.
Oh, you think you can take me? I jump up super high and quick, and I punch you in your tiny head, and then I run away. I win the fight.
That tiny head, you got to hit it.
Oh, I'll
That's
hit
a small
it.
target.
It really is. I'll do also kick. I'll kick your midsection too. I'll really cover all bases.
Valid.
Yeah.
And you can fucking run off.
Yeah, and I'll just run away, and then I win.
Dude, if I can just get a mitt on you, you're fucked.
Just break from the story real quick. One time, one time there was this big kid that kept fucking with me in middle school, and I was so angry at him, but I didn't know how to fight, and so I pulled a bitch move while his back was turned. I full on clenched my fist and cocked back, and I punched him square in the dead center of the back of his head, like. Pop, you heard bone hit bone, and just you hear this nice good crack sound, and he just goes, "What the fuck?" I'm already gone. I just fucking took off.
Dude, I have a weasel move I did one time. This is young before martial arts or anything, but I actually know there's a name for the technique now, or that I know. I don't know. I can't even remember the kid's name, but this kid and I were scrapping or whatever, and
Let's call him Scrappy.
Scrappy McPherson. You like that name?
Great name, great improv too.
Scrappy McPherson.
I love it.
McPherson. It's McPherson.
Sorry,
What do you think it said?
I thought you said McPherson.
What a fucking idiot! So Scrappy McPherson, he I don't know what we were fighting about. I just remember we were fighting.
Food?
He's on top of me. I have an erection.
Whatever.
No, I just say it before you do.
Sure.
No, he's on
You were
top of me. He's like
fingering
he's beating me.
You're trying to
and
steal
then
his cell
as
phone?
he's on top of me, I just go like this. I go, "Oh, dude, oh fuck, you got a bloody nose." And as he's on top of me, he looks down, and because he had me like pinned. And he lifts one of his hands up to go like that, and I fucking sock the shit out of him. And fucking.
I love it.
And in Wing Chun Do, we call that closing on the mental half step. And what that is it's like there's a physical half step where you can close on somebody as in their like if they're in the middle of their bob and weave, so to speak, or their rhythm of their stance. And then a mental half step is. Like, you're jawing with someone, and then you may just go, "Hey, man, I just want to know, do butterflies fly in formation?" And then you close on them when they're like, "What?" And so that's basically.
Don't think about elephants.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about?
Does peanut butter talk to jelly?
What?
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, exactly. So anyway,
I couldn't get away with that. I don't.
Yeah, you could.
I'm not smart enough. I don't think. Hey, look behind you.
You're like this. As you're looking at the guy, you just go, "Oh my God, it's the cops."
I'm 100% serious. You need to look behind you right now.
Yeah.
Please, I'm not joking.
I'm not gonna fall for that again. Fucking bat to the back of the head. I did it in class one time. We were doing a 2-on-1 drill, and this I do remember that we were all in the instructor's program. Mark Isball, big dude, buddy of mine.
Did he have hair?
No, but he had a bunch of testicles. This is so fucking stupid.
Mark Isball. What a terrible name.
It's Filipino.
Is he Filipino?
No, he is. What I was like, no, he's German.
Is there any man here?
Any man here with balls?
Mox Whizballs.
But we were doing a 2-on-1 drill, so we're all suited up in our gear, and the 2-on-1 drill is basically two guys are going to attack you, not one at a time, and you got to fend off, get in between them, all that shit.
Easy peasy.
So as Mark's like if you're Mark and I'm looking at this guy, I'm looking at Mark, and as they're coming towards me, as I'm looking at Mark, all of a sudden I go, "Oh, what, Cjo?" Cjo's our head instructor. "What, Cjo? You want to talk to Mark?" I go, "Mark, Cjo wants to talk to you." And Mark goes like this, and I fucking clocked him, dropped him, and Mark just goes on. He's like, mental half step. I was like,
What, Cjo?
all right, so the guy's finger blasting Kelsey.
Yeah, and I was like,
This is how stories change.
yeah, and I was like, hey, look behind you. I'm serious.
And then you're behind just jacking off.
Notre Dame's on fire.
That's the name of my dick.
So I was just standing there. I was super pissed. I was ready to die because I was super tired and I was really mad. And I was like, I will die in this walkway on the way to Notre Dame for this cell phone. Not even for the girl. Like that's how mad I am at her still.
Yeah.
So then they peace out, and then they try to rob people not like 10 feet, 15 feet away from us. So then I just run over.
It wasn't that far? How far was it?
was around 10 to 15 feet.
Oh, so it was.
About that. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't.
You said it was not.
Or it was right around that. You're up. And
Come in.
I made it my mission to go over and be like, get the fuck out of here, and like screaming at him like I'm security of Notre Dame. And they just kind of laughed at me and then ran away. And but apparently that's a big thing in Paris is you got to like shoo away these guys like they're flies. Like, because they'll just come up and try and rob you. They'll shake something in your face. Or these one dudes will stop you and they'll be like, hey, hold on. And then they'll just grab your hand and they'll start tying. They'll start doing braiding this fucking fabric to make a bracelet onto your wrist. And then they tie it and cinch it perfectly in this knot that you can't untangle. It's fucked. So they do this, and it's beautiful looking.
And then they tell you to pay for it.
Yeah, and they're like $20 or 50 francs or whatever the fucking rate is, and so then
You'd be like, I'll give you 0 jimmies.
Yeah, exactly. What? Jimmies?
I don't care how many francs you want. I'm not even going to give you a jimmy.
Oh man, I want an isball. And
But you do.
and yeah, and so then they tell you to, and so we're walking, and they tell us about these guys, and then you see them doing it. It's pretty fucking crazy to watch, like just these white tourists. And it was like usually girls who are like, oh my God, this feels nice. And this is so weird. And then they'd be like, okay, fork over the money. Like, well, I don't want this. And like, money now. Money right now.
So what if you just went, oh, really?
They'll try and take it from you.
The money?
Yeah.
Oh, I would fucking, first I'd be like, if they started doing it, I'd be like, no, I don't want it. And I'd fucking go like this.
Yeah.
And if they held it down, I'm like, I'm tearing this off as soon as you let go.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now.
I got so used to, we weren't there for that long, but you get used to it because it happens all the time. At first, you're kind of freaked out about it because you're like, keep my wallet in my front pocket, be aware of your surroundings. But now that they're everywhere and you're aware of it and you're seeing everybody get fucked and you almost get fucked, you're just, now when they come up, you're like, I don't want it. We were at the Eiffel Tower and this dude just comes, he has like this stick and on it was just like these horse toys, like just like plastic toys hanging from the stick, and he's like shaking the stick in front of me and he's like, you want and I'm like, I don't want
Like, come on, quit horsing around.
yeah. And I kicked him in his balls.
That's cool about like
Is it?
I mean, maybe not. After they tried to fuck with you guys, the fact that you were like trying to warn everybody else and like to have everybody's back, like it's crazy you had that hunch to just keep watching and have everybody's back.
Oh man! Oh, were you holding
5
on
minutes.
to that?
5
you
minutes.
were holding on to that? Wow, unbelievable! And you know
I
what?
had to bring it back.
Blink and you'll miss it because unless you retain the information
fuck.
that we were just talking about Notre Dame, that hunch joke would fly right by you. You wouldn't even. You'd be sitting here going, "What's Kane so upset about?"
You noticed I was looking over there. I
Yes.
couldn't look at you.
I thought you were giving me props for being a good Samaritan.
No.
Come on, I'm a good guy. Give me
It
the
did take a lot of
props.
his balls. So my tired story. Get off your phone.
I was gonna pull up a thing from a person who listens.
Okay.
But whatever.
We'll get to him.
Be a big bitch about it.
When I went to Ireland, fucking same thing. Like, how long was your flight to? Where did you land?
I think it was.
London?
We had a layover. It ended up being like 35 hours total. Yeah, it was a long time, and I didn't.
How
sleep.
long?
35. You're gonna do it the whole time, every time.
Fucking what?
Yeah.
Ours to Ireland was. I think it was like.
Ours to Ireland.
You know what I did, da? You know what I did, da?
Orly or Ainley.
I wrote your name in the dirt. I did.
I did.
And then you know what I did? I pissed on it. I did. I pissed on your fucking stupid Giuseppe name. I fucking love it. In the name of the Father. You know what I did, da? I wrote your name in the dirt. I did. I wrote your stupid fucking Giuseppe name. And then I pissed on it.
I did.
I think it was, I want to say it was only like, maybe it was from New York to there was 8 hours. But did you do the thing like we set an alarm every hour we got up and walked and then we'd sit back down on the plane?
No.
Dude, that's like the terrifying thing now, the deep vein thrombosis.
Yeah. It's pretty. Yeah, my dad got fucking blood clots in his legs that almost killed him because he drove from Seattle to Wyoming in one straight shot. And I don't like I want to get there in one straight shot myself, but I'm petrified of those blood
Did he
clots.
not stop at any point to get
No,
out of
he
the
just
car?
tried to make it because somebody died. One of my family members died, and then he had to drive all the way out there. And everybody was telling him, "Don't go. Don't
I'm
go
about to
this thing."
tomorrow. I'm driving to Seattle.
Are you gonna do it in one shot?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, I'm.
You need to stop, bruh.
I know. I'm gonna get compression socks. I think.
That's a good idea.
You know what those are?
Yeah, it's where they stop the blood flow in your legs, and they try and kill you.
No, it's the opposite of that. You dense fuck.
I'm not dense.
Oh, but
Smart.
so I got to Ireland and or we landed. We went to London for a few days, but we stayed at this fucking old ass hotel. My bed was this size of this fucking table.
Yeah.
And dude, like my shoulders were literally on the outside of the mattress, so I didn't sleep at all, and so I was tired as fuck there. And then got over to Ireland, which was like it wasn't a long flight, maybe 30 minutes, hour, maybe, and stayed at my buddy Ray Breen's and
Ray Brains. I'm fucking Irish.
I'm fucking from there. Ray, and this is the weirdest thing, having lived in Hawthorne like the previous 3 years, where at any point you'll hear gunshots, screaming, babies crying, fucking the trucks at Ralph's backing up, me, fucking homeless people yelling shit. To then stay the night at Ray's, it was the creepiest, weirdest thing. I posted a video of it that it was the most quiet, like no car sounds, no bugs, it was fucking just silence. It was, and my brain couldn't fathom it. It was weird.
Having that much, when you're around constant noise all the time, and then having that much silence.
Yeah, you get it living with Kelsey. Come on.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's deafening. We were living in North Hollywood, right next to a freeway overpass. So you would just hear cars, fucking sirens.
Kelsey had diarrhea.
Yeah, Kelsey was shitting in the bed, and I was like, "Come on, get up!" And so anyway, after we'd clean,
No fucking anyways, me.
So anyway,
My 5 hour energy is in full
I can
effect.
see it. I can
Is your
feel
shit
it.
kicking
My
in?
energy is the same. It will always be from here on out. This is what it's going to be like. So just get fucking used to it, you piece of shit.
Got a lot of his balls right now.
I certainly do. What's over there?
I'm going to tag Mark in this. I'm going to tag Mark on this and fucking mention that I mentioned him.
But yeah, I mentioned. Here's what I mentioned. Here's what happened to me.
What's that?
Anyway, I went to and stayed at my mom's house, and she has a bunch of acreage in Wyoming, and one car passed every 24 hours. So like when you finally got used to the silence, when you would hear a car, yeah, you'd just be like, the fuck? But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it made me want to not come back here. I wanted to
Say that sentence again?
When I was out there,
Yes.
I didn't want to leave there because it was so peaceful and quiet, and then I didn't have to fucking jump like a monkey to get money. I really lost the thread on that one.
I see those, like when I drive to Arizona or whatever, you see these like nice houses like in the desert that are fucking by themselves, and like for a second you're like, oh man, that must be cool to just be away from everything. And but then I think after like 3 days I'd be like, what the fuck?
I think that's why people get cabins, rich people who work out in this area, and then they have enough money to go and get something that's away from all the noise and all the bullshit. I want that so badly. Whenever I hear about that, whenever I hear about rich people owning cabins so they can go and they can like actually get some work done, I just feel like, that would be so fantastic.
What would your ideal? Okay, we won't say like maybe we can say you're rich, whatever. But what would your ideal scenario be, like living situation? I know mine.
My ideal living situation. It'd be,
You want me to tell you mine? So then.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would have a house. And fucking no. I'd have a house in Boston.
Yeah.
That would be home. And then I would have like a nice apartment or condo here, Vegas, and that might be it. In New York. If it was like independently wealthy, like.
Well, I would want to first. I'd want to travel to Spain and see what Spain's all about.
Why?
Because
Why
I
Spain?
hear it's phenomenal.
Okay.
I hear it's beautiful.
Please explain.
I hear it's beautiful out there, and I hear that the food's delicious, and like you could just chill and relax. And so, if it's nice, whenever I get to go, I might put that on my list of where I have residency. But I would definitely get a place in Seattle because it's my number one favorite city. Boston's my second favorite city. So
You know what? Seattle's my second.
Love Seattle.
I always said well, I don't know if is it still my second. Arizona's pretty fucking fun. Nice. I always say Seattle when the weather's nice there. There's not many places that can beat it. As much as I flip Seattle people shit and the sports teams and everything, Seattle's beautiful. Like when it's nice, it's fucking, and like the weather, when it's I've always said my ideal weather is like 70-ish, between like 70 and 80. Breeze and clear skies. That's fucking perfect.
Yeah, but you know what's weird is because even though there's like a ton of greenery out there and a lot of like fresh weather and fucking, you don't feel like out here there's a lot of smog and like a lot of times I feel like I'm losing breath because of the pollution out in this fuckhole town. But when you go to Seattle, it feels like everything's really fresh. Like the oxygen's really fresh and all that shit because they get a lot of rain. But I don't want a cabin out there. I want to live in the city in Seattle. But if I was to get a cabin, it would be out here. I'd want to go get one in like fucking Big Bear somewhere, and like just peace out somewhere here in California.
I'm trying to think of
because I do like California. I've always had a love for California. I just think I think it's
California love. Dun, 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 California.
Why did you sound like a country western singer? That was awful. That was so
Because you were
bad.
giving me nothing, so I was fucking reaching for a lifeline. That's the bass line.
I know it's the bass line.
California love.
I really hated that.
California
Oh,
love.
I hated that so much.
Dun,
Yeah, I would also do. I would do a lot more traveling, but I would move the fuck out of LA for sure.
Yeah.
LA feels like a job that you have to get. It feels like a class you have to take to be able to pass and get and graduate. That's what LA feels like to me.
Well, I don't know if have we talked on the podcast about what I'm doing over the next few months?
I don't think so.
You know.
Oh, then why tell anybody?
You're all that matters.
Exactly.
No, I'm on the road a bunch the next through like October-ish, but June, July I'm gonna be having residence in Arizona, even though I'll be on the road a lot of that, and then August I think I'm gonna go to New York for a couple of weeks in August, and I think I'm gonna end it going to Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden.
Whoa.
So he does a show once a month there at Madison Square Garden, and I guess he sells it out every month.
The Piano Man?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, and and its tickets are only like $60, but I don't know. And I'm trying to, and then once I do that, and I come back in August I'll come back to Arizona from that trip in New York in August, and figure out, do I move back here? Mm-hmm. Do I go to Vegas, which like a lot of people we know have moved to comics.
Oh, you're thinking of actually moving out of here.
I don't know.
Oh my
I don't know.
God.
I don't think dude, I don't know.
I'd
man.
be so envious of you. Do you know how envious I would be? I mean, look, again, a lot of people live here and they end up loving it. I still have much disdain for this area.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I go back and forth in my head. I don't know. Like if I'm going, I may in August be like, okay, going to move back to LA and because it's like I go back and forth because I'm like acting isn't like my number one thing. Like I'm not here. I'm not like, God, I want to act. I would love to do like bit parts or the buddy or whatever because I'm not confident in my acting, even though other people have said I'm good at acting, which I'm just like,
I'm going to give you some lines to read and you got
Hit me.
to give.
You know what I did? You know what I did? I wrote your name in the dirt. I wrote your stupid fucking Giuseppe name. And then I pissed on it. Yeah.
So
I pissed on your name.
I'm going to give you the synopsis. I wrote of Jurassic Park. Okay?
You wrote of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, so I wrote what I could piece together as the synopsis for Jurassic Park. Cause that's
Are you giving me a line?
Yeah. So what I'm doing on Well Actually this Thursday is Jurassic Park, okay? We're quizzing,
What's my motivation?
We're quizzing Holly quizzing Holly's boyfriend on Jurassic Park.
Okay.
It's his favorite movie. So this is a synopsis. Now read it to yourself at first. But what you want to do is like you're a doctor and you're delivering bad news. That's your motivation. But these are the words you have to say. So read it quietly to yourself.
This will be great for the podcast.
I'm going to sing some music for the listeners.
Millionaire John Hammond.
Well, you
wants
just
that.
I said to yourself.
Wait, how is this like a line I would be delivering?
Just read it. God, why you gotta be so difficult all the time? You fucking mustache. Did you shave off your mustache?
No, it's trimmed.
Oh, it looks gone.
Yeah, it's because it's
You fucking yokel. You fucking
yokel. I'm not gonna do this. Sorry.
Do it.
I'm already this stupid
Act.
fucking. Act.
I'll do it. Ready?
Okay, let's hear yours. Do it with a. Do it with an Aboriginal accent.
Aboriginally.
Yeah.
Originally, I was from Aborigine. I don't know how to do that accent.
I know, that's why I said it.
Oh, millionaire John Hammond wants Doc Grant.
What is that?
And it's my Aborigine. Originally. The Irish.
It's an original Aboriginal.
Yeah. Whatever. Fine. We're not doing it.
No, but my whole point is like, I'm like, okay, do I need, I've been on the road a bunch this year and it's going to continue. And so do I need to be in LA paying more rent, or should I go to like Vegas where it's close enough to everything, way cheaper rent, cost of living's way lower. Like Rocky Dale Davis, he lives out there and he'll come out here for auditions when he needs to, but his home base is there. And then I don't see, the thing is, it's kind of exciting and also, I don't want to say scary, because I mean, I've moved around so much that moving's not a thing it's no big thing to me, but like, it's kind of exciting because if you're like, where are you going to be in September? I'm literally like, I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, I honestly don't know. I could be here. I could be like Arizona. I could be Vegas. Maybe something when I go to New York. Maybe something happens there that I'm like, oh fuck. But I don't know. I talked to Jonas. I saw Jonas yesterday.
Bonds.
Yeah, and talked to him about New York and stuff, and got his input on the New York life and everything.
What did Jonas say?
I mean, he was like, the open mics are worse in New York than LA, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I would say they may be equally as bad. I don't think.
Has he been to one? I would want to ask him if he's ever been to one.
Here?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because he was like, yeah, a lot of them you have to pay. I'm like, same here.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the same. I'll tell you about it afterwards, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think about lots of things, like the flip side of it about in the side of not moving from here and coming back here is I do get a lot of stuff where like All Def Digital may hit me up and it's stuff like, hey, are you free today or are you free tomorrow? Can you do this? Yes. The stuff I'm doing with Kev. I mean, we've filmed a bunch of episodes ahead of time, but I think we're going to continue to do ASCA that moving forward. Which, I mean, the people need this.
And it's paying the rent. Yeah. So. Here's what I'm as you're saying all this, like I got
erection?
Well, yeah. I got excited by proxy at the idea of me moving to New York. Like if Kelsey and I just tomorrow was like, let's just do it and let's save up some money after the wedding and let's move to New York. And fuck it, why not? Because why not?
I mean,
what is the difference? Really, there is no difference in staying here or moving there, because if you do anything out there, you're eventually going to need to come back here for shit anyway. This is where they film everything. And then not even then, because Hollywood is disbanding and all these big production companies are moving out of Los Angeles because it's far cheaper to shoot
You got Atlanta.
everywhere else.
Yeah, you got Atlanta, Boston,
New Mexico.
Yeah.
New Mexico is huge right now. Fucking, that's where they film Breaking Bad, and they pull actors out of L.A. for some stuff, but they use local fucking New Mexico actors. And the show's amazing. Like you don't need to fucking really be here anymore.
That's another thing too. I think about Boston. Like, dude, I'm all over the place, and I honestly don't know where I'm gonna be.
Well, there's 50 states to choose from, Jay.
What?
There's 50 states to choose
No
from,
love
Jay.
for Puerto Rico?
I mean, you could, if you want. There's more of like a Providence.
Racist.
I mean, it's not racism. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah. Discounting them.
Fine.
Isn't that convenience for you, white man? Yeah, I don't know. Dude, I think, I mean, it sounds corny, but I also think about Us. It's fucking weird, Us. Like.
The movie?
Yeah, it's because, I mean, I don't know if I can see that in New York or Boston. It's like,
I'm sure
I've really only seen it here, except for Arizona. I saw it there. No, I mean, like my best buddy is, if you're here or if you go to New York, I don't know, dude. I honestly don't know. I'm excited to see what happens. Like,
Yeah.
And then, dude, like I was talking to Sean about it, and one thing he brought up about New York. He was like, dude, you don't want to go to New York which I get. Like, I don't necessarily like New York in the sense of like, in the summer it smells like piss.
Yep.
And fucking garbage and all that shit. And then, but he brought up, he's like, dude, the taxes, the cost of living there, which 100% agree with. And then the other thing he said, which was interesting, he's like, because I'm in my life, so to speak, I don't think you recognize a lot of the shit that is happening. And like, we've talked about this a million times where as comics, we're never satisfied.
No.
Like, it doesn't matter what's happening, at what level we're at. And I think that's also a sign of a person that's driven to not be satisfied. Like, if I was just like, hey, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
I don't need anything to change. No, it's like we always want more. But he's like, look at you got the thing going with Kev, the Aska thing. He's like, you just got the one TV thing with Drink TV. He's like, you get a lot of opportunities here. Did I tell you the comedy union ends? The manager was talking about they're going to put my picture up.
What?
Did I tell you about that?
No.
One of the only white dudes on the wall, bro.
Oh shit,
Which would be
son.
pretty dope. So who knows? I mean, the docu-series thing that Broken Drift is filming. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. It's all up in the air. It's all worthless.
Okay, let's say I'm going to present a scenario for you.
Hit me with a scenario.
Whatever your decision is,
Uh-huh.
Kelsey's 100% on board. She loves it. Whatever, and you get to make the decision. Where do you go? What do you do?
Bosnia.
Great scene. It's hard not to bomb there, though. Oh, God.
Where do I go? I would want to go to New York for a year. I would want to. I for my whole life, I've always wanted to live in New York, and then I've only visited a bunch of times, and I think I've talked myself out of it. Like every time I go back, I mean, I've been on record on this show and other shows where I'm like, yeah, New York's not for me. I went back there and, I saw that it was something I wanted when really I didn't want that.
Well, I remember you telling me, like, you're like, me and Kelsey, we like just did a couple of things and we came back and we were fucking exhausted.
Yeah. We were super tired and we were just like, New York's not our thing. We got to walk everywhere. We just made all kinds of excuses as to why we shouldn't. But a big excuse as to why we shouldn't is we don't have the money to go. We'd have to save up a fuck ton of money. And then...
that was one thing Jonas was saying. He's like, you'll have a roommate. I was like, that's fine. And he's like, I think he said that he had, at one point, he had like 3 roommates or something. And... But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I would want to go to New York for a year. And then if it's cool and we can establish some shit, stay. And if not, if in that year nothing really happens, I don't know. I don't know. I like Seattle, but the scene is too small.
Yeah. And it's getting smaller.
Yeah.
Parlor Live closed.
Ha.
We can talk about that too,
Yeah.
but we'll get to it in a sec, but keep going.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd want to try a bunch of different scenes. I would like to know what Denver's like. I would like to just know what a couple places are like. But at the same time, man, if we could just hit a stride, get to a popularity level where we could just run clubs around the country, then I could live anywhere.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking is like, I think this year will probably be my. I mean, this is the goal as a comic. You want every year, like you're doing more and more weekends or clubs, right?
Yeah.
So I think this year is definitely going to be the most I've toured, and I think it's just going to go up again next year. Got some info to tell you. Remind me to tell you after this.
I love info.
And so if that's the case, then I think, okay, well, why go to New York, let's say, or here, and pay basically twice as much rent for the little time I'm even here, when I could have my home base be Vegas or Arizona and cut my cost in half, and then I'm out on the road.
Selfishly, I would want you to stay. And then less selfishly, I would want you to live in Vegas because you're close.
Yeah.
And then
I got to tell you something else too. Fuck, I have so many things.
So many off the mic shit we got to talk about.
So in June and July, you have to come out to Vegas or to Arizona for a weekend.
Yeah, I can. I can swing it, yo.
So Jack was telling me there's like a haunted place that we're gonna go do a HollingsWorthless there. And for Halloween, which will be leading up to it, we'll probably be in Portland. We'll find something there to do one.
Cool.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Ooh.
But I'm excited for the future. Parlor Live though, yeah. So Parlor Live in Bellevue, Washington closed down. So I started in Boston. I went to Seattle and met this fucking dingleberry.
Yeah.
And we grinded for all the time was there. And I think roughly 2 years after I moved to Seattle, I got asked to do. I'll tell you the whole story of how I became the house MC.
Tell me the whole story.
And then here, you can hand me that. And then you can tell the story about how you fucking would shit on me.
Yeah.
Which is, I love the story. So I got laid off in Boston. I realized I would not be able to afford my place in Boston because it was fucking pimp. And so I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here. My buddy Jaron in Everett, Washington, he was like, hey, it was crazy. Have I told you this story about like, I may have, I may not. Anyways, my buddy Jaron was visiting from Washington to Boston. He's staying with me. We went and did all the touristy shit, looked around, and I had to go to work, and I was like, okay, on lunch, I'll take you to the airport so he can go back to Seattle. I leave work, I pick him up, I take him to Logan Airport, drop him off. See you, brother. Great to see you. Love you. Talk to you soon. Safe travels. I get back to work. The CEO, hey, can we have you come in the meeting room? Go in the meeting room. Yeah. So we're laying everybody off except like the head of sales and like one other. Basically, everybody's getting laid off. And I was the director of technical support. So I was like, fuck. All right. Cool. What I don't remember how much time they said it was, but so I leave there. I called Jaron, who's still at the airport. I was like, hey man, because when he left, he's like, fuck, I wish I could stay longer. I go, hey, you should have stayed longer. He goes, why you stayed? I go, I just got fired, just got laid off. He goes, what? I go, yeah. And I'm freaking out because at the time, I think that was the only time I've ever been fired. Like, and this is what had worked corporate America my whole life. And so I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't afford the place I'm at. And he tells me, he's like, well, I just got rid of one of the guys. I just got rid of my guy that was living with me at my house because he was doing drugs. So he's like, if you want, I got a room at my house. And Jaron's like a contractor. So he's like, some of the place is still being like remodeled and shit. But he's like, I got a bedroom. You can pay $500 a month flat. And I was like, fuck, I might do that. So I did a lot of soul searching, thinking, and whatever. And I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. So I sold everything I owned, except for clothes and pictures. Drove cross country to Washington. I was collecting unemployment, which was $653 a week.
Lucky prick.
Yeah, and I got to I got to Seattle, and I was like, okay, I have this income, fucking thanks, Obama. And I was like, I have no reason not to hit the mics every night. I have absolutely no reason. And, I've always said, I'm like, some people find me funny, some won't. Only thing I can control is how hard I work. I don't want anybody to outwork me. So I hit the mics like crazy. And then we met, and we fucking bonded, and we were like, all right, let's hit the mics. And we did that. And at about, I think a year and a half or 2 years, I think it was maybe a year and a half I had been there. And, my first experience at Parlor Live, Harold Gomez was featuring for Jeff Dye, and he got me a guest spot. And I was like, oh, fuck, Parlor Live. At the time, Parlor Live was the only A room in the whole Northwest.
Yes.
No, there was no club in Oregon. There was Harvey's, but there was no Helium, and Tacoma Comedy Club hadn't been opened yet. So Harold got me a guest spot, and I'm like, oh, this is huge. I go up, and do you remember this story? I'm doing my set. It's going okay, and I ended on a joke where I was talking about, like, I'm self-conscious at the gym because everybody assumes I can lift everything, but I can't, and I'm weak. And so I make excuses why I'm weak. I'm like, oh, I just had shoulder surgery.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And the way the joke ended is I say that I keep, people keep looking at me on machines, and I keep making excuses, but I'm running out of excuses. So I go, oh, sorry, I'm so weak ever since I found out I had AIDS. And the whole audience just goes, oh. And then I go, good night. So I go in the green room, and I'm like, oh, my God, I really fucked this up. They're never going to have me back. Harold goes up. He's fucking crushing. He gets off stage. You remember this story. I'm in the green room, and the way the green room is set up is like the door's there. I'm sitting on this couch. I hear Justin Ruppel, the host, give it up for Harold Gomez. The door, he kicks the door open. Light is shining on from behind him. I have my head down. I just look up. He has his arms out, and he goes, that's how you do it. As I'm thinking of contemplating quitting comedy. Mm-hmm. So I get done, that night. I go up to Ruben, who was the manager at the time, and I'm thinking he's going to be like, hey, man, don't ever fucking come here again.
Don't ever come here again.
Yeah. So if you could just not ever come here again. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, Ruben, thanks, thanks for the spot. And he's like, oh, that was great. We'll have you back again. And so I go, yeah. So they did not like that last joke. He goes, oh, no, it's fine. I really enjoyed it. Now I know he never saw that set.
Right.
He'd fucking, that was his MO. His MO would be like, I really, like if you were any comic out of town or whatever, like a feature, he would be like, oh, I really enjoyed your set. So, here, take my number. Just give me a call. We'll have you back. And then he would never respond.
Right, yeah.
So, anyways, I thought, that was brutal. It was bad, not good. I don't remember how soon after that, but Justin Ruppel, who was the house MC, good buddy of ours, great dude, good comic. I remember him. He was getting ready to move to L.A., and he hit me up. He was like, hey, I think they're going to ask you to replace me as the house MC. And I was like, I appreciate you saying that, but I don't even want to know about that because how we are is like, until it's happened, it's all just horse shit.
Right.
And then Ruben hit me up, and he was like, hey, can you come over and talk? And so I was like, sure. Am I in trouble or something? So I go over there and talk to Ruben, and he was like, basically, do you want to be the house MC? And I was like, couple things. I go, absolutely, I'd love to, but I'm not wearing a blazer. Because Justin's a good-looking dude, and he would always wear a blazer and dress nicely.
You really do it up.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I'll wear a collared shirt and all that shit, but I'm not going to wear a suit or a blazer. That's not me. Okay, fine. And then I also said, I was like, I'm going to do other clubs. I go, because I prided myself on always trying to get new material and just work my ass off. So I was like, I'm not going to only do the Parlor. And he's like, okay, that's fine.
They never... you know what? And the management was odd at times, and they were weird and shitty at times, but they never gave a fuck about doing other clubs. It was other club managers in Seattle whose rooms weren't as prestigious as the Parlor.
Right.
That were like, what are you doing the Parlor for? You can't do my room.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, great. Then I'll go do the Parlor then.
Yeah.
Go fuck
The Parlor
yourself.
would pay people
Way
to
more.
feature than to headline at some of these other clubs.
Silly.
So they were like, that's fine. And then and Ruben, I remember telling me, he's like, I usually don't like my hosts to swear, but he's like, there's something endearing about how you swear. So I was like,
Fuck.
cool. All right, if you say so.
Cunt.
So, yeah, so I became the house MC there, and I want you to tell your story.
Oh, well,
you know the story.
I love going to the mics at the Parlor when they had them. They were fun because everybody could see each other. They kept the lights slightly brighter for the open mic. So if you were bombing, you could see everyone's face, and if you were killing, you could see everyone's face. So it was kind of fun for me. And I was starting to get a little bit of like, oh, I know that guy. Like I've seen
me?
Me.
Yeah, them knowing you. Yeah.
So I would walk into comedy clubs and they would be like, "Oh, I know that's Kane or whatever," and so that was kind of nice. So I remember, and we met, and you were like one of the only guys that I could bust balls with, and wouldn't take offense to the things I would say. Like often I would flip someone's shit, and then they wouldn't understand that I'm teasing them, and also. Lighten the fuck up. What are you doing? What are you being in comedy for if you can't take a joke? And so, or you tease somebody and then they tease you back, but they'd go a little too, they'd go too aggressive with it.
Well, I fucked your mom.
Yeah,
Whoa,
you just be like, dude, take it easy, man. Like one time I said to a comic, I'm like, because he like lifted his shirt and he had like a nice like round stomach, and he's usually a skinny guy, and I go, you got like a salmon belly. Like you look like a fresh salmon, and that's all I said. And he's like,
good one.
Yeah, and he's like, you're getting fat. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and before you tell the Parlor this, and you know the story I'm talking about. Yeah, but Kane and I we would go to the underground and fucking. I mean, we would just sit there and bullshit and stuff. And then when Tacoma Comedy Club opened up. That became that was our club.
Yeah.
Like we had that one booth.
Yeah, we would just chill in the back booth. Like you always hear comics, like the New York comics talk about the table at the cellar. Well, this was our table.
Yeah.
There's this back booth. It never was reserved for the comics. We just made it that way. And
that was some of the funnest.
We would sign up for the mic and then just chill in that back booth, and it would just be you and me, and then whoever sauntered in would get in the booth.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, there would just be this circled crowd around that booth of comics who didn't get in.
Yeah.
It like became like, all right, get in as quick as you can, sign up, and then get to that back booth because that's where everybody's gonna be. And so that was a blast. But the Parlor was fun because you could kind of dick around in the Parlor.
Yeah.
Like they were like. Think of themes you could do. So you could do get heckled night.
Shout out to Scotty Lombardo.
Yeah.
That's where I got that idea from Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty's idea. Jay brought it to the Parlor. And there was other things. There was improv open mic night where you could just go up and like get a suggestion and try and work out a new bit. And so there's a lot of flexibility. And then the more you showed your face, sometimes, the managers would be there. They'd see you. They'd interact with you. And they were cool, and then they'd give you guest sets, and so it was fun. But I remember walking in there, and everybody had heard because it reached everybody that Jay had become the new house MC, and I've never been jealous of Jay's success. I never really cared. I always like, oh, good, I'm glad, and I never really was jealous of any comic. To an extent where it like fucking bogged me down.
Yeah.
You always just think like, oh shit, I wish I had that. And of course, like all of us, we all wish we got that part.
Absolutely.
But I was like, oh cool, yeah, that's good to see you. And then I walk in, and you're
really quick. How soon after it's like everybody finds out that I'm the house MC that this is taking place? Is it like a week later?
Oh no, you got it. Then it was the open mic because one of the stipulations was you had to host the mic.
Oh, okay,
you remember that shit?
All right, yeah. All right.
So you were there every week. You were there Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Because you had to host the mic, and then there was one show Thursday, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday.
So this is like basically the week of.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So this is like the week you get
that
it.
everybody finds out.
Everybody finds out, and you're a big friendly guy as far as everyone knows. You're the nicest guy in comedy.
Yeah, you get it.
So this guy walks in, and I don't know if whales know that the
Wait, first of all, why were you using a whale example?
I'm not saying that it's because of your weight. I'm saying because
Thanks.
whales. I mean, it's because of your weight. But
Are you
whales,
talking about like the
The little fish that attach themselves
Over by like England and stuff.
near Notre Dame in Europe. So
Whales.
I don't know.
and the-
Sharks, whatever. You pick a large animal that swims, and there's always things on it that
Yeah.
attach itself to
Barnacle
its belly,
type
barnacles,
shit.
whatever, little
I
fish.
guess those are on boats.
Yeah, but I agreed with you, so I can't really
know.
go. Yeah, stupid barnacles.
We may be the dumbest people on
We are.
that podcast.
We always
but that's
we
right.
we
All
know
right.
for sure we are. So anyway, so I don't know if they know they're being attached to, and I think that's what happened to you is all these people who you don't normally chat with and who don't normally come and just chat you up. All of this, I walk in and you're sitting in a booth. It's just you in the middle. And then around you are all these people not only I've never met, I don't even think you knew
Right.
their first name. And they're sitting there and they're hanging on every word you say, laughing when you open your mouth to utter a joke. And
I'm like,
look,
what's the date? And people,
oh,
Jay.
God, what's the date? What a genius. And it's like, I've never said you're not funny. I think you're very funny, but you're not that funny. You're not, oh my God, every word, every syllable. So and there was a spot open, and I chose not to sit there because I was disgusted. Not even at you, at them. I knew what they were doing, and it bugged the shit out of me. So I sat in a table that was dead center where you were, and I was just staring at you. And I was stared at you, and we didn't know each other that long. We had known each other like a good couple of months.
Right.
Not like we know each other now. It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
But like a few months, and I was just fucking giving you these dagger hateful, shitty eyes like, you fucking scumbag. And so you're looking around, and this person laughs at this thing, and you're like, right? And then you look over, and then you say something else, and they laugh, and you're like, yeah, I'm fucking killing. The mic hasn't even started yet. People are walking up to come talk to you, and you're like, sign up sheets right here. You just sign up there, okay, and then I'll see you around. And then they want to fucking banter with you. Jay, I just, by the way, I saw you at the Underground. You did the mic over there. That joke you did about Christian rap, oh, man, had me die. And I'm like, oh, God, guys, suck his dick already. Let him release so this can be over. And so finally, you finally like break that moment of like, oh, I'm the king shit. And you see me looking at you, see me staring at you, and you start smiling, and you go, what's your problem? And I go, I don't like what's happening here. I don't like, you look like Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi when he's just sitting there, and everybody's like, they fucking, every time Jabba opens his mouth, everybody starts cackling, and that mushmouth fuck isn't saying anything funny. And so I said that's what you look like Jabba, and I'm sick of these little leeches all around you. And you laughed and got up and walked over and sat on the table with me. And again, I don't think you were doing this, you weren't conscious of this, but when you sat down to talk to me to see what was going on, I look over, and all those people that
Daggers?
no, they didn't have daggers. You were the nucleus. You were the reason they were sitting in that booth. So when you got up, they didn't know what to do with themselves. They just had to like start talking to each other because they were all talking to you, and you were talking to them. But when you left, they didn't know what to do, and then that booth became empty. They all fucking left. And that was my favorite. And I think right at that moment, we just sort of like, if I come here every Wednesday, I'll get up. And we became friends after, like good best friends after that, I think.
There was I remember the when you were talking about the heckler thing. So Scotty Lombardo, our good buddy, lives in Boston. He used to run a mic at Tavern at the End of the World in Charlestown, and he would try and make these mics like really fun. Like he would give away sex toys. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. He would give away sex toys and
Sounded like you got one in you.
I'll just take it. I'll take it on the chin, unfortunately. I got the isballs on my chin.
What's over there?
like a cat.
I love how dramatic you look.
Yeah.
Over. That's my favorite.
So Scotty does this. He would have heckler spots. So let's say there's 20 people that sign up for the
Boo!
mic. Yeah, and he would say, okay, from number 10 through 15 you're going to be heckled, so you can work on how to deal with a heckler. So if you sign up in spot 10 through 15, you're going to get heckled. So I was like, I'm going to do this at the Parlor. So people signed up. I told everybody, hey, if you're in this spot, you're going to get heckled. If you don't want to be heckled and you just want to do your stuff, totally fine. Sign up in the other spots. And my two favorites was with you, and then what was the fucking psycho that used to manage the underground?
Dave Milton?
Yeah, James.
James Milton.
Yeah. I'll tell the James one, then we'll tell yours. So James Milton goes up, and he's like this fucking very intense, not that funny guy.
Not funny at all.
He goes up, and he's in the heckle spot.
Yeah.
So he goes up, and he's telling a joke, and Mike Cummings was like, yeah, that's off the internet. Good internet joke. And he kept just saying, like, that's so-and-so's joke.
Yeah.
That's on the internet.
Hack.
Yeah, and James Milton, he's not dealing with it. He's like, what the fuck, man? That's my fucking joke. And then Mike just goes, I'm heckling you. I'm heckling you. Oh,
You're
fuck.
in the heckle spot.
Yeah,
Did you
I'm
forget?
heckling you. Fucking deal with it. And then my the one with you.
I think it was the first one that you did because, or maybe it was the second one, because I walk in and I didn't know about this, and you were like, "Hey, will you go first?"
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
No one wants to go first in the heckle spot, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, all right."
Yeah.
And so then I get up, and then you get up and you go, "All right, we're gonna do the heckle spots now." And we had a crowd. When
Yeah.
normally you don't have a crowd for open mics, but we had some regular audience members there, and you started explaining like, "Yeah, you can heckle you're encouraged to heckle, and this is like a platform for them to work on, like their sharpness, so they can deal with it." Is everybody ready? Everybody gets the idea, right? All right, first comic coming to the stage is Kane Holloway. So then I walk on stage and I just start going, and no one's heckling me.
Right.
And then so it just you just shout something out. I can't remember what joke I was doing, but I was trying to do something about space.
Space, yeah.
And you latched on to one word I said. I can't fucking remember what it was.
You know what's crazy? Before you finish it, what's crazy is I remember it so vividly. Like I was on, like if you're on stage, I was over there, you were on stage here, and there was somebody over on the far side that you were interacting with.
Yes.
I can't remember who it was or what, but I just remember fucking in tears. But you go on, sorry.
Yeah,
So
I said something, and you latched on to the thing about space. I can't remember what it fucking was. And so since no one else was really heckling me, you heckled me with that, and I just turned, and I think the first thing I said was, "Oh, shut up, Jay." Like, I didn't have a comeback. And then because, again, no one was heckling me, you just kept heckling me on the one word I said. I think I flubbed something. And it just became you and me shouting at each other.
Yes.
It wasn't even a working it out thing. I was shouting at you, and you were shouting back at me. But the funnest one is when you decided to heckle from the back booth where the DJ or the fucking sound guy sits, and you and Manny's black. And
whoa, dude!
And so you guys are sitting in the back, and I got on stage, and I wasn't heckle night. Mm-hmm. It was just a regular open mic, and you heckled me, and everybody heard it. It got a big laugh. And Manny goes, ha ha, like he's the loudest one. And so I said, why don't you both shut up back there? You look like Bacardi and Cola. And that went, and then it just became you and me going after each other. And then Manny tried to chime in. Do you remember this part? Manny tried to chime in, and he tripped on his words. And we both just went, shut up, Manny. And we were just attacking him from different sides.
You know what's funny is like, all the amazing comics I was fortunate enough to work there and stuff, and like these are my favorite stories.
Yeah.
Or the Dwayne Goad one with Kevin Pollak. Oh, fuck.
That is a great one.
Your David Alan Grier story is one of my favorites, and Kevin Pollak. So actually, we'll end on these two. We'll tell these two. I know you've told yours before. I don't know I think I'm told this, but so these are my two of my favorite stories at the Parlor. So Kevin Pollak's headlining. Dwayne Goad is featuring our buddy Dwayne, and Dwayne is he's like a kind of like a little local legend in Seattle, an awesome comic, And as funny as he is on stage, off stage, he's even funnier. And he's like the salty veteran comic. I'm going to tell a previous story to give you an idea of Dwayne without mentioning this. So there was a headliner in town that we'll say he uses props, and he needed the screen to come down. So he had done his shows, and Dwayne's feature, and I'm hosting. And this one show we're about to start, for whatever reason, the screen's not coming down. It's not coming down. It's stuck. And this guy's freaking out. If it doesn't come down, I'm not going up, blah, blah, blah. He walks out of the room, and Dwayne's like, how about you tell a fucking joke? That's just the idea of Dwayne. So this wasn't Kevin Pollak. So this is a different story. That was a different story. So the weekend, Kevin Pollak's headlining. We're doing the shows. Everything's going great. We're in the green room. I'm sitting... So for those watching, I'm sitting on the left. Kevin Pollak is on the right, across from me at the doors here. Kevin Pollak's across from me, and Dwayne Goad is over here to my left. Kevin Pollak's right. So Kevin Pollak's in between shows. He's kind of just winding down. I think he was reading something, and then I text something to Dwayne like, hey, do you want to get something? You want something to eat or something? I texted him something, and his phone just goes beep beep. It's audible. He's got his alert on. So once I know it's on, I text him something else. Beeps again. Beep beep. So now I start texting him in one word at a time. I'm literally texting him, I'm going to keep texting you till Kevin loses his mind. So now, literally every fucking 3 seconds, Dwayne's phone's just beep beep. Beep beep, beep beep, beep, and I'm sitting here looking down at my phone to not give anything away, but out of my corner of my eye, I see Kevin just fucking, dude, just like, and he's starting to sigh, just like, man, beep beep, beep beep. To where now I'm fucking in tears. Like I'm trying not to laugh, so I have to leave. I'll be right back. I go out, but I'm still texting Dwayne. Right. So I'm probably gone for 15 minutes. I finally come back in there, and Kevin's left, and Dwayne is fucking dying laughing. I'm laughing, and Dwayne's like an older guy, and so he's like, dude, I couldn't fucking figure out how to turn the thing off, so I took the battery out. This is when batteries were in. He goes. At one point, Kevin's like, hey man, I'm sure that's got like a silent or a vibrate or something. Dude, so I think like the last show of the weekend, I tell Kevin that I had done all that, and Kevin fucking he was great. He goes, dude, I was like, what the fuck? He was like, why would you do that? I was like, this guy. I was like, what a fucking asshole. Why doesn't he just fucking turn it off? Oh, it was one of my favorites. Just Dwayne, oh, sorry, I don't know. It's a new phone. I do beep beep beep. But your David Allen Greer story that happened at the Parlor is one of my favorites.
Did I tell this already?
I'm sure you have, but it's worth telling again. So before you tell it, because we're going to end on it, let's do our plugs. So go ahead.
At Kane Holloway on Instagram and KaneHollowayComedy.com.
I'm at Big Irish Jade on everything, BigIrishJade.com. And I will be in Canada for the next 3 weeks. This comes out Wednesday. This weekend, I'll be at the Sonar Comedy Club in Prince George. Weekend after that, I'll be in New Westminster at Laugh Lines. And then the week after that, I'll be there, I think, Wednesday through Sunday. I'll be at the Comic Strip in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So
nice.
If you have any friends or family up in Canada, please let them know.
Nice.
I'll be up there. So here is my favorite, one of my favorite green room stories ever.
Okay, so it's like my first time ever guest setting at the Parlor. And this is when I drank, and I'm nervous to be there. I'm excited because I've always wanted to be at the Parlor on a weekend, and it's going to be huge because David Allen Greer is a big draw.
Right.
And I love David Allen Greer. That guy's great. He's really... And I loved him before I got there because I've watched him on In Living Color, and he's in Jumanji, and he's hilarious. So,
great comic,
and great dude.
Like he's into like smoked meat. Do you know about this?
I didn't know anything about him. I never got to learn anything about him.
Yeah. Well, like we went to he had when he was in Seattle, he had told me that there was like this place that is known for their meats.
Right.
And so we went down there and yeah, it was great.
Every comic every comic that learns that I have a bad David Allen Greer story, they're surprised because they only have good David Allen Greer stories. They're like, really? Because David Allen Greer is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my whole life. Best comic to be in a green room with. And I was just like, okay, well, here's my story. So I'm sitting in the green room. I'm all by myself. I got there super early. And the waitress comes in. I order a beer. Now I'm just sitting there again, waiting for my beer. She comes in, gives me a beer. And I'm sitting there. She goes, do you want another beer for when you get on stage? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm only doing 5 minutes.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, I'll bring it on. Actually, act casual. That's what comedians do.
I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm cool like that. And so I said, sure. So she leaves, and I'm by myself again. I take a sip out of the beer, put it down. I'm writing in my notebook. And then all of a sudden, Ruben comes in with this chaotic energy.
The manager.
And he's like, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, okay. So I get up. And he goes, David Allen Greer is here. David Allen Greer is here, and he can sit wherever he wants. And if he wants to sit where you're sitting, he should be allowed to. So just stand over there and pick up your stuff. If your stuff is there, he's not gonna want to sit there. He's gonna think you're sitting there. I'm like, okay. So I put my notebook on the ground, and I grab my beer, and I'm just standing there holding my beer.
Just standing
there. Then Ruben leaves. And now I'm standing in the green room for like a full minute. Finally, David Allen Greer walks in. And he doesn't see me at first because I'm all the way tucked in the corner. The door opens and he just walks in because he's looking at his phone. And then he's just standing there. And then he's got his management. And now Ruben is standing behind him. So he's got his management talking to him. Ruben is talking to him. And I'm just standing there holding my beer. And I'm waiting for him to pick a seat. Yeah. And he's just taking his time. He doesn't know anything about this. And I'm sure he didn't say to Ruben,
oh, yeah.
If somebody's sitting in there, tell him to get the fuck up. Ruben was just being crazy that night. And so.
Yeah, that night.
Yeah, well, whatever. So then, so he's still figuring out where he needs to sit. And at that moment, the waitress comes back in with my this is my stage beer, and hands it to me, but I can't set it down anywhere because I'm waiting for Dag to get a seat. So now I'm standing there holding 2 full beers. And finally, David Allen Greer turns and sees that I'm in the room, and he just goes, hey, he sees me standing there holding 2 beers, and he's like trying to figure out what's going on. He like kind of nods. And I nod back. Finally, he sits.
And as with your 2 beers, you're just kind of like,
yeah. So finally, he sits down, and he sits like somewhere in the middle of the room. And I'm like, okay, now I can finally sit down. So as I'm like trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, Ruben goes, now, if you need anything, of course, on the house, just let me know.
To David Allen Greer, not
David
you.
Allen Greer turns to leave, sees me standing there holding both my beers, and just with no filter or sense of awareness goes, don't get drunk, and leaves. So now I'm standing in a room. This is
that's the only context David Allen Greer has of you.
Yeah.
So, Jesus, is this guy a fucking drunk all the time?
Right. And also, if you're so worried about this guy getting drunk, why'd you book him?
Yeah.
So
and don't get drunk, and then David Allen Greer looks at you, and you're holding 2 beers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Jesus. So I finally put him down back on the table, exactly where I was sitting, picked my notebook up. I'm now too shaken up to say anything to David Allen Greer. I just keep my fucking mouth shut. Then the feature walks in, and him and the feature know each other, so they're talking to each other. And they're talking to each other about basketball. I don't watch basketball, so I really have nothing to say to these guys. So I just keep my mouth shut, and I sip on my beers very slowly, and I write in my notebook. Waitress comes in again. They're looking at the menu, so I order tacos. Host is like, all right, show's starting. So I wait outside. Host brings me up.
Was I hosting?
No. I think
Manny? Or no?
Somebody. I think it was Manny.
Okay.
It was somebody else. Host brings me up. I get up there. and I don't do well. I don't bomb, but I bomb. Like, I don't bomb because they're giving me pity laughs, but I'm so nervous.
You had a mediocre set.
Yeah.
But luckily you had the beer with you, so you look cool doing it.
I forgot it. I left it on the
did
table.
you?
Yeah. I didn't want to bring it on because I was like, okay, never mind on the stage beer. So I get off stage, whatever. And there's a TV in the room that looks out. So when you're in the green room, you can see how the show is going. So I walk in, and David Alan Grier is all by himself. He's got one earbud in, and he's looking on his phone. I walk in. He sees me. He looks at the TV, looks back at me, and goes, "Hey, good set." And I just I didn't know what to do. And normally I'm fairly okay when I'm around anybody, and that includes some famous people. And I thought I was going to be fine.
Yeah. And you're what, 2 years in roughly?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
so now I'm like completely nervous. He says good job, nice set, and I'm like, oh, thanks, man. And for some reason, I sit down right next to him.
There's literally seats everywhere in the room.
There is this big, long booth. I could sit there's a chair that sits across from him. Now, that would be weird because I don't know him, and that we're sort of forced to make eye contact every time he picks his fucking head up to look at the TV. But I don't do that. Instead, I pick the most awkward part. I sit right, and as I'm doing it, I'm saying to myself, what are you doing? And I sat down anyway. We're almost touching elbows. That's how close we are. Like, sometimes we had to move to not to touch each other's elbows.
So awkward.
But he's not going to get up because he's trying to be nice. And he was also trying to be nice by saying good job.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do a good job.
Oh, yeah, no.
So, I'm like sitting there, and he starts it off. He goes, you originally from here? And I'm like, because what are you going to say to a guy who just sat right next to you? So he's like, yeah, are you from here originally? And I'm like, yeah. Where are you from? And he just goes, oh, I live in LA right now. Oh. Is it nice out there? And he's like, what? I'm like, is it like, do you get a lot of more work out in LA than you would out, if you
Lived in Michigan.
if you lived out here, would you get more work in LA?
God, this is so fucking uncomfortable.
And he's like, I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, I probably get, I do the road. But I do get some work in LA. Cool. That's cool. And I'm waiting for my tacos too.
Right.
Is it sunny out there?
Oh my God.
Is it sunny
In LA.
in Los Angeles, California? You've never heard a more pointless conversation.
my
You've never
God.
heard a more pointless question in your entire life. Is it sunny in LA? And then I continue on by going, like how it rains all the time here. Well, I'm glad you made the distinction.
Yeah.
Kane. Wait a minute.
I didn't know what sunny meant.
You know how it's always sunny out there. Is it comparable? He doesn't fucking answer me. Instead, what he does is he takes the one hanging headphone that's not in his ear, and he bloop, plops it in, and I finally was like shooken out. It was a nonverbal and a non-physical slap to the face of snap out of it, stop doing this. And my tacos came in. I didn't even let her set it down. I just grabbed the plate from her, held it in one hand, grabbed one of my beers, and I walked out of the green room. And then I downed that first beer, ate my tacos, and then when he was on stage, I raced back in and grabbed my other beer. And then I didn't stay for the end of the show. I just left.
I just love that he did he even not look at you?
He was staring he was staring at his phone. He hears, is it sunny out there? He doesn't answer. So then I figured maybe he didn't hear me. So then I say, you know, like it's always rainy out here, and he has it, grabs his headphone and puts it in his ear.
Not even looking at you.
He doesn't make a. He was like, I have to treat this kid like he's the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. If I don't move, he won't talk to me. He won't attack me with these verbal horse shit. Is it always every question I had, I knew don't stop talking. Move, get up, and stop invading David Allen Greer's space. But I couldn't, and therefore, I'm sure he doesn't remember me.
Oh, no.
Because I have a very forgettable face. But if at any point I jog his memory and if I can repeat the same nervous, shaky nonsense that was fucking just like, you know, when you see dogs spit up and then they swallow their own vomit, that's what it was like.
Dude, I can just see him too, just like, is it, you know, like how it's rainy here and just going and not acknowledge you or anything.
And what's so weird is you've been in the green room with me. I'm not like that.
Oh, no.
It's never like that. If the comic is really big and we don't have a rapport, I just keep my mouth shut. I don't attempt anything like that. I don't try to befriend celebrities. I'm not interested in that shit. But for some fucking reason, I was compelled to change this man's mind. Please, David Allen Greer, don't think of me as a drunk who can barely do 5 minutes and has pointless questions. Please don't think of me that way.
Bobby Kelly, I had a fun Bobby Kelly green room story. First time working with Bobby Kelly, was all excited. We both love Bobby, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, fuck, I'm looking forward to this. So I think I was. Do you know this?
Well, I just remember when you called me up. I thought you called me up to tell me Bobby Kelly was coming.
Oh.
But I thought you were calling to tell me that Bobby Kelly was coming, and also there's a set for you. So do you not remember this?
No.
So you called me up and you're like, dude, Bobby Kelly's coming he's doing a weekend, and I'm hosting. It's gonna be great. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I'm waiting for you to be like, yeah. So make sure you get there at like 7:30,
fuck.
and that never came. And so I had to just ask. I did another pointless question. When should I be there? And you're like, oh, just get. And then I think it hit you, and you go, oh, do you want like a guest set? And I was like, oh, well, whatever.
I don't remember this.
You don't remember this? And I remember going, oh, that's not why he was calling. He was calling just to tell me that Kelly was coming.
I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm in the green room. My first interaction with him, and you know, it's like I have always said, like, and this is kind of how I am in life. Like, if I don't know someone, I really don't speak unless spoken to, and I kind of let them dictate the conversation. So hey, Bobby, good to meet you. You know, big fan of yours. You know, love your stuff. Blah blah blah. And then he goes, so what are the crowds like? And I thought he meant, like, what is the demographic? He meant, like, how are we doing on sales? So he goes, what are the crowds like? And I go, oh, Bobby. So, yeah, they're kind of like a rich crowd here, you know, but like if you call them on their shit, and I'm probably saying this for like a minute, and he's just kind of like, okay, like listen to me. And I'm like, yeah, you know, like it's a rich crowd, you know, but they can be kind of stuffy. But if you call them on their shit, you know, you'll get them. You don't have to worry about it. I get done and he just goes, who the fuck are you? Who are you to fucking give me advice? I've been doing this 25 fucking years, you fucking nobody. Who the fuck are you? And then I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then like shortly after that, the merch lady came in and she's like, hi, Mr. Kelly, do you have any merch? So she's like over here to his right and I'm to his left. So he's looking at me and just goes, oh yeah, here's a CD I just spent 20 years putting together, doing this my whole life. So if you can just set that up, looking at me. And then I remember like he was like shitting on me. So I'm like, okay, this banter. And he was wearing all black. And I can't remember, he was shitting on me about something. I was like, okay, Dark Knight, you know, because he's wearing black. And then he had like one of those Nike Fitbit type things. One of the first times I ever seen one. I was like, oh, what's that? And he goes, dude, it fucking tracks my steps and fucking my calories, and tells me the time and blah, blah. And I'm looking at him how fat he was at the time. I was like, oh, so it's a watch for you. And he's like, you motherfucker. Oh, fuck. And then there's my Ralphie May one, green room story.
Oh, yeah.
Which Ralphie May for me was like how David Alan Grier with you. Like everybody always says David Alan Grier is the best, and everybody Ralphie May is the best. And I only really had one interaction with him, and it was we'll end off this, but Ralphie wouldn't come into the showroom until his feature, who was Billy Wayne Davis at the time, was like 5 minutes left. So Ralphie never was in the room when I was even performing, which I don't give a shit. It's fine, whatever the headliner wants to do, but. He's about to walk in the green room, and he's like, hey man, why don't you talk about your size on stage? And I go, oh, I do this joke, I address it, and then I move on. He's like, you should talk more about it. I was like, okay. And so then later we're in the green room, and it's me, him, and Billy Wayne, and he goes, hey, can I give you some advice? And I was like, sure. I'll always listen and then decide what I want to do. And he goes, hey man, lose the beard. I go, what? He goes, yeah, man, people don't trust people with beards. I go, you mean like Jesus and Santa Claus? and then he said, he goes, hey, I'm just saying they tell politicians and car salesmen to be clean shaven so they're more trustworthy. And I'm like, those are two of the least trustworthy jobs you could say.
Nobody trusts either one of those people.
And then he goes, I'm just saying you don't see a lot of leading men with facial hair. And I was like, all right. And then he
Tom
left.
Selleck.
Yeah, exactly. Now everybody, and so he leaves. And then Billy Wayne, he goes, yeah, man, he's been telling me that for years. It's because he can't grow facial hair. And I was like, all right. So those are some of the green.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh my God, genius.
So goodbye, Parlor. Had a good run.
Goodbye, Parlor. Parlor.
Yeah, maybe next time we'll tell some more stories.
Some war stories?
More stories?
Some more war stories.
Yeah, but for now, let's just say bye. If a person fucking listens to this till the end, you deserve a prize. Your prize is to go to iTunes and rate or review this podcast. Give it 5 stars, you motherfuckers. Fucking say something nice. Oh, you fucks. I'm dying right now. You motherfuckers. I've been doing this fucking piece of shit for 5 years. I'm averaging about 2 fucking reviews a year. Go fucking write some, you motherfuckers. Oh, fuck.
That is the realest I've ever heard you.
God.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck?